The stars looked different tonight. Dr. Alice Miller could tell something was wrong even before the computer alarms went off. She had spent 15 years watching the sky from her observatory in Arizona, and she knew when something didn't belong. "That's impossible," she whispered, adjusting her glasses as she stared at the screen. The readings showed a massive object. No, multiple objects, moving toward Earth at incredible speeds. They had appeared from nowhere, as if they had been invisible until now. Alice reached for her phone with shaking hands and dialed a number she had memorized but never used. "This is Captain Howard," a deep voice answered. "Frank," hits Alice. "Remember that signal we talked about 5 years ago? The one you said to never mention again? It's happening." The line went silent for a moment. "How certain are you?" 100%. "They're coming, and they're coming fast." Hundreds of millions of miles away, Admiral Zexthar stood on the command bridge of the Voidcrest, the largest ship in the Dracarian invasion fleet. His scaled skin gleamed under the blue lights of the holographic displays, showing the small blue planet ahead. "Status report," he demanded, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Scans complete, Admiral," replied Officer Grell, tapping on the control panel. "The planet shows minimal orbital defenses. Their technology is primitive: chemical rockets, basic satellites, and a small space station. No energy shields detected, no weapons platforms, no battle fleet." Zexthar's mouth curved into what his species considered a smile. "Excellent. Another easy conquest for the Empire." Intelligence Officer Krelvon approached with a data tablet. "Admiral, our biological scans indicate the dominant species is physically inferior to Dracarians. They are smaller, weaker, and have no natural armor or claws. Their atmosphere is mostly nitrogen and oxygen." "Pathetic," Zexthar said. "Prepare the invasion strategy. We'll begin with their military installations, then their governments. The usual approach." Back on Earth, Captain Frank Howard walked quickly through the underground hallways of the Pentagon. His uniform was perfectly pressed despite being called in at 3 a.m. 4 armed guards escorted him to a room that officially didn't exist. Inside, the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of Defense waited around a large table. Their faces were grim in the blue light of the monitors. "Dr. Miller's readings have been confirmed by 12 other observatories," said General Clark, not bothering with introductions. "SETI is picking up communications we can't decode. NASA has visual confirmation. There are at least 50 large objects approaching Earth." "Aliens," someone said. The word hung in the air. The president appeared on the main screen, still in his pajamas. "Captain Howard, you've been preparing for this possibility. What's your assessment?" Frank took a deep breath. "Sir, to these visitors, we probably look defenseless. Our most advanced fighter jets would be like biplanes to them. Our nuclear weapons might not even reach their ships." "So we're doomed?" asked the Secretary of Defense. "I didn't say that, sir." Frank's expression remained calm. 7 years ago, we created Protocol Omega for exactly this scenario. We've been preparing, but quietly. In her office at the classified research facility in Nevada, Dr. Susan Wright received the alert on her secure phone. She looked up at her team of engineers and scientists, all waiting for her response. "It's time," she said simply. "Activate all systems." Around the world, in deep ocean trenches, remote mountain bunkers, and desert facilities disguised as ordinary research stations, lights began to turn on. Machines that had never been used outside of tests hummed to life. Colonel Peter Martinez walked through a hangar in Colorado, where 12 unusual aircraft sat ready. They didn't look like any planes the public had ever seen. "Prep them all," he ordered the mechanics. "And get the pilots here now." In space, Admiral Zexthar watched the blue planet grow larger on his view screen. It looked so peaceful, so unaware, so vulnerable. "Begin the attack sequence," he ordered. "This world will belong to the Dracarian Empire before their sun rises again." He had no idea what was waiting for him. The Dracarian scout ships entered Earth's atmosphere like silent black arrows. Their hulls absorbed radar signals, making them invisible to normal detection systems. In each ship, 4 alien soldiers prepared their scanning equipment, eager to gather final intelligence before the main invasion. "Approach Target Area 1, ordered Scout Leader Vex. "Use maximum stealth protocols." The scout ship hovered over the Pentagon, its sensors reading through layers of concrete and steel. The aliens recorded human movements, weapons, and communications. "These humans use primitive projectile weapons," Vex noted, his mandibles clicking with amusement. "And their communications rely on easily disrupted signals." In another scout ship over Beijing, Officer Malk reported similar findings. No energy shields detected, no plasma weapons. Their aircraft use combustion engines. Admiral Zexthar received these reports with growing confidence. "Continue surveillance," he ordered. "I want to know every weakness before we strike." Intelligence Officer Krelvon studied the incoming data, but felt uneasy. "Admiral, something doesn't make sense. A species this technologically primitive shouldn't have reached space travel at all. And their satellite network is surprisingly extensive. They are simply slow developers." Zexthar dismissed his concerns. "Prepare the first wave. Target their largest military bases first." On Earth, Colonel Peter Martinez watched the alien scout ships on a special display that shouldn't have existed. The technology to detect the stealth vessels had been developed in secret over the past decade. "They're scanning us right now," he told the emergency meeting of world leaders on his secure video feed. "They think we can't see them." "What are they looking for?" asked the British Prime Minister. "They're assessing our weapons, our defenses, our capabilities," Martinez explained. "And they're seeing exactly what we want them to see." Dr. Susan Wright nodded from her video window. "Project Mirage is working perfectly. Their scans are detecting our regular military bases, but not what's underneath or behind them." In her Arizona observatory, Dr. Alice Miller tracked the mothership's position. "The main fleet will be in range in approximately 3 hours, she reported. Captain Frank Howard stood in a massive underground chamber beneath the Nevada desert. Around him, hundreds of technicians monitored equipment that glowed with soft blue light. The technology looked nothing like standard military hardware. "Are the gravity disruptors ready?" he asked. "Yes, sir," replied Lieutenant Sam Nguyen. "All 37 sites report green status. The moment they enter our atmosphere in force, we can activate the field." "And the pulse cannons?" "Charged and aimed. The targeting systems are tracking all scout ships." Frank nodded. "Remember, we don't show our hand until they commit to the attack. Let them think they've got us outgunned." Beneath the Pacific Ocean, the U.S. Defender submarine descended to 3,000 feet. Unlike ordinary submarines, its hull contained sections that could split open, revealing weapons no human military had officially acknowledged. "Reaching position Alpha," reported Commander Kate Phillips. "Weapon systems online." In orbit, 6 seemingly ordinary satellites quietly changed position, their outer shells ready to fall away to reveal what was hidden inside. Admiral Zexthar studied the final scout reports with satisfaction. "These humans have nuclear weapons, but they're crude and slow. Their aircraft can't leave the atmosphere effectively. Their ground forces use wheeled vehicles with thin armor." "That seems consistent with their technology level," agreed Krelvon, though his doubts remained. "Begin the invasion," ordered Zexthar. "First wave will target their military command centers and air defenses. Second wave will secure their capitals. By this time tomorrow, Earth will be another conquest for the Empire." The massive Dracarian ships began to move toward Earth, weapons charging. In the White House Situation Room, the president received confirmation that the alien fleet had begun its approach. He looked at the grim faces around him, then at the red button newly installed on the table. "May God help us all," he said, and pressed it. Across the planet, hidden systems began to power up. The sky turned orange as the first wave of Dracarian attack ships entered Earth's atmosphere. Their weapons glowed hot, ready to rain destruction on the cities below. Admiral Zexthar watched from his command ship with satisfaction. First target, the human military base in this region they call Colorado, he ordered. Energy beams shot down from 5 ships, striking the Air Force base with blinding light. Explosions rocked the ground. Smoke filled the air. Direct hit, reported Officer Grell, moving to next target. But something strange happened. The smoke cleared, revealing crater damage. But the base itself still stood. Most of its buildings remained intact. Impossible, Zexthar hissed. Fire again. On the ground, Colonel Martinez watched the alien ships from a bunker half a mile beneath the attacked base. They're confused, he said, smiling slightly. The energy absorbers worked. The walls of the most important buildings on the base had been coated with a special material that absorbed and dispersed energy attacks. It couldn't stop everything, but it had reduced the damage by 80%. Now? Asked his second-in-command. Martinez nodded. Now? From hidden silos around the base, 12 missiles launched upward. They didn't look like ordinary missiles. They were sleeker, with blue light pulsing along their sides. The Dracarian ships detected them immediately. Primitive missiles approaching, reported Officer Grell, deploying countermeasures. The alien ships released clouds of small drones designed to intercept incoming projectiles. Standard procedure for primitive weapons. But these weren't standard missiles. Mid-flight, the missiles split open, releasing swarms of tiny drones of Earth's own. Each one no bigger than a baseball. They moved with impossible speed and precision. What is this? Zexthar demanded as the view screen showed their countermeasures being overwhelmed. The small Earth drones attached themselves to the alien ship's hulls and detonated. Not with explosions, but with electromagnetic pulses that disrupted the ship's systems. 2 attack ships lost power and began to fall. In the waters near Japan, Commander Kate Phillips watched depth readings in the U.S. Defender. They're attacking Tokyo, she reported. 3 ships in position overhead. You are authorized to engage, came the response over the secure channel. The submarine's top hull slid open despite the crushing water pressure. A platform rose, carrying something that resembled a satellite dish. But instead of receiving signals, it sent out concentrated waves of gravitational distortion. Above, the Dracarian ships suddenly lurched sideways as if hit by an invisible hand. Their engines struggled against a force they couldn't identify. What's happening? Zexthar demanded as reports came in from around the planet. Why are our ships losing position? Krell studied the readings with growing concern. Some kind of gravitational weapon. It's creating localized distortion fields. We have no record of humans possessing this technology. Dr. Alice Miller worked frantically at her computer, analyzing data streams from the alien fleet. Their attack formation follows a standard pattern, she told Captain Howard over the secure line. There's a mathematical precision to it, and a weakness. They keep their ships spaced exactly 1.8 kilometers apart to maximize coverage. Howard relayed this to Global Defense Command. Within minutes, Earth's hidden orbital platforms positioned themselves exactly between the gaps in the alien formation and fired upward. Beams of blue energy shot into space, hitting the underside of the main Dracarian fleet where their shields were weakest. Admiral, cried Officer Grell, the humans are firing from orbit. 5 of our support ships have taken damage. Impossible. Zexthar slammed his fist on the control panel. They have no orbital weapons platforms. They do now, Krell said quietly, pointing to the screen where the satellites had shed their disguising shells. Around the world, humanity's hidden defenses revealed themselves. From mountain bases in the Alps, energy cannons fired at alien ships. From the Sahara Desert, buried launchers sent up specialized interceptors. In Nevada, Dr. Wright activated the final piece, a network of towers that projected a thin, almost invisible shield over major cities. The Dracarian first wave was in chaos. 7 ships had been disabled. None had successfully destroyed their targets. Admiral Zexthar's 4 eyes blinked rapidly in confusion. How? He asked no one in particular. How are they fighting back? Admiral Zexthar paced the command bridge, his clawed feet clicking against the metal floor. The holographic displays showed the status of his fleet. Far too many red warning symbols blinked back at him. Explain this, he shouted at his officers. How can a primitive planet have such weapons? Intelligence Officer Krelvon studied the battle data, his expression grim. Admiral, I believe we were deceived. The humans allowed our scouts to see only what they wanted us to see. Impossible. No species could hide so much technology. This one did, Krelvon replied. And there's something else. The human weapons show signs of inspiration. They're using principles similar to our own technology, but with unique variations. On Earth, Dr. Susan Wright stood in her control center deep beneath the Nevada desert. Around her, screens showed the status of defense systems worldwide. She pressed a button on her console. Activate the gravitational disruptor network, she ordered. Across the planet, hidden facilities powered up massive machines that had been built in secret over the past decade. Each created a focused field that affected the alien ship's propulsion systems. In space, the Dracarian ships suddenly found themselves struggling against invisible forces. Their engines strained, using triple the normal power just to maintain position. What is happening? Demanded Zexthar. Why can't our ships maneuver properly? The humans have deployed some kind of gravitational technology, reported Officer Grell. It's creating distortion fields that interfere with our engines. But how? Where did they get such technology? Krelvon's eyes widened as he examined the data more closely. Admiral, these gravitational patterns, they match phenomena that the humans have been studying in their astronomical research. They've been analyzing black holes and neutron stars for decades. They learned how gravity can be manipulated by observing natural space phenomena. Zexthar stared in disbelief. They developed weapons by watching stars. In Washington, D.C., the president addressed an emergency session of the United Nations via secure video. For 50 years, we have been preparing, he said to the world leaders. When we detected the first alien signals in the 1970s, a secret global initiative began. Each nation contributed its best scientists to Project Guardian. On screens around the world, people watched as their leaders revealed the truth. Humanity had known they weren't alone in the universe for a long time. They had been getting ready. Captain Frank Howard coordinated the global defense from his command center. Reports flowed in from all continents. The electromagnetic pulse weapons are working, reported his assistant. 17 alien ships disabled so far. And our casualties? Frank asked. Lower than expected. Their targeting systems seemed confused by our countermeasures. Dr. Alice Miller burst into the room, holding a tablet computer. Captain, I've analyzed their communications. They're using a quantum frequency we can disrupt. Frank smiled. Do it. In space, the Dracarian fleet suddenly lost communication with each other. Their carefully coordinated attack fell into chaos. Admiral Zexthar slammed his fist on his control panel. Restore communications, he ordered. We can't, replied Officer Grell. The humans are somehow jamming our quantum frequencies. This should be beyond their technology level. Intelligence Officer Krelvon approached the Admiral, his posture showing submission but his eyes firm with conviction. Admiral, I believe we must consider a troubling possibility, he said quietly. What if the humans have had contact with other species before us? What if they were warned about our coming or given technological insights? Zexthar turned all 4 eyes on him. Are you suggesting treason within the Empire? No, Admiral. I'm suggesting that what we see now is the result of careful preparation. The humans appear to have spent years studying cosmic phenomena and developing countermeasures specifically designed to neutralize our advantages. Outside, the battle continued to turn against the Dracarians. Earth's hidden arsenal was now fully revealed, and it was far more advanced than anyone had expected. Zexthar made a decision. Pull back the damaged ships. We will regroup and launch a full-scale attack. No more testing their defenses. We will crush them with everything we have. But even as he gave the order, he felt something unfamiliar, a flicker of doubt. Major Olivia Bennett strapped herself into the cockpit of an aircraft unlike any the public had ever seen. It was sleek and black, with strange angles that made it look almost alien. Around her in the underground hangar, 11 other pilots did the same. "Eagle Squadron, check in," she called over the radio. One by one, the pilots responded. They were the best from air forces around the world, secretly trained for years for this exact mission. "Remember your training," Olivia told them. "These ships can handle 10 times the G-forces of normal jets. The neural interface will feel strange at first." She placed a slim headband across her forehead. Immediately, she felt connected to the ship in a way that went beyond physical controls. She could sense the engines, the weapons systems, almost like they were parts of her own body. Colonel Martinez's voice came through the radio. "Eagle Squadron, you are cleared for launch. Good hunting." The hangar ceiling slid open, revealing the sky above. The squadron of advanced fighters rose straight up without using runways, their engines nearly silent. In space, Admiral Zexthar prepared his counterattack. He had recalled his scattered forces and organized them into a tight formation. "All ships, prepare to fire on my command," he ordered. "Target their major cities. Show no mercy." But before he could give the order, Officer Grell shouted in alarm, "Admiral, unknown aircraft approaching at high speed." The view screen showed 12 small craft rising from Earth. They moved with impossible agility, changing direction instantly without slowing down. "Those aren't normal human aircraft," Krell Vaughn said, studying the readings. "Their design is advanced, and they're emitting energy signatures similar to our own fighters." Olivia led her squadron directly toward the alien fleet. "Remember the simulation runs," she told her pilots. "Their ships have a blind spot beneath the main engines. Hit them there." The Earth fighters accelerated to speeds that would have torn normal aircraft apart. The neural interfaces allowed the pilots to control their craft with thought alone, giving them reaction times no conventional controls could match. "What are they doing?" Zexthar demanded as he watched the human fighters weave through his fleet's defensive fire with impossible precision. Eagle Squadron split into pairs, each targeting a different alien ship. Olivia and her wingmen approached the underside of a Dracarian cruiser. Their fighters fired weapons that released pulses of focused energy, technology reverse-engineered from studying distant quasar emissions. The pulses hit the alien ship exactly where the shields were weakest. Explosions rippled across its hull. In Nevada, Dr. Wright monitored the battle from her command center. "The adaptive targeting systems are working," she told Captain Howard. "The fighters are analyzing the alien shields in real time and finding vulnerabilities." "What about the orbital platforms?" Howard asked. "Ready for Phase 2, Dr. Wright replied. She pressed a series of buttons on her console. In orbit, Earth's hidden defense platforms changed position, forming a net-like pattern around the planet. Each began to generate a field that connected with the others. "Admiral," Krell Vaughn shouted, "the humans are creating some kind of orbital defense grid." Zexthar watched in growing horror as the human defense system took shape. "What is that?" "It appears to be a planetary shield," Krell Vaughn replied. "But that's technology even we have trouble maintaining around a whole planet." On the main Dracarian ship, alarms began to sound as systems failed one by one. The human fighters had damaged critical components, and now the orbital defense grid was interfering with their remaining weapons. Admiral Zexthar felt fear for the first time in the battle. How did they build all this without our scouts detecting it? Krell Vaughn studied the incoming data with growing understanding. "They hid it in plain sight, Admiral. Their civilian research stations, their space program, their astronomical studies, all cover for military development." In Arizona, Dr. Miller worked with scientists around the world to coordinate the defense systems. The grid is at 60%, she reported. We need to hold them off for another 10 minutes to reach full power. Eagle Squadron continued their attack runs, disabling alien ships one by one with surgical precision. Major Bennett smiled grimly as she lined up another shot. "This is for Earth," she whispered, and fired. Intelligence Officer Krelvon sat alone in his private quarters aboard the Drakarian command ship. He had requested time to study historical records, something that puzzled Admiral Zexthar, but the request was granted anyway. They needed answers. The glowing screen before him showed images and data from hundreds of conquered worlds. Krelvon searched for patterns, for anything that might explain Earth's unexpected defenses. "Computer, search for any records of species developing technology beyond their expected path," he instructed. The results appeared almost instantly. 3 cases in the past 200 years, where primitive planets had shown advanced technology that didn't match their development timeline. In all 3 cases, the explanation was the same: outside influence. Krelvon's eyes widened as he found an entry from 80 Earth years ago. A Drakarian scout ship had reported unusual energy readings near the 3rd planet of the solar system. The report was filed but never followed up. "Computer, search for any known species that opposes Drakarian expansion," he continued. A new file appeared, classified at the highest level. Krelvon used his security clearance to open it. "The Archivists," he read aloud. "An ancient species that traveled the galaxy not to conquer but to preserve knowledge. They were known to occasionally share technology with younger species they deemed promising." The final piece clicked into place. "They've been here," Krelvon whispered. "The Archivists chose Earth for protection." On the command bridge, Admiral Zexthar watched as another of his ships fell to the human defenses. "Retreat is not an option," he told his officers. "The Empire does not accept failure." Officer Grell approached hesitantly. "Admiral, we've lost 30% of our fleet. The humans are deploying new weapons faster than we can adapt." Before Zexthar could respond, Krelvon burst onto the bridge. "Admiral, I know what's happening. Earth was visited by the Archivists. They've been given knowledge." "The Archivists? Those weaklings who refuse to fight?" Zexthar scoffed. "What proof do you have?" "The design of their weapons, the quantum communications technology, the gravitational manipulators. All of it shows the same patterns the Archivists use, but with human variations." Krelvon displayed his findings on the main screen. "We aren't facing a normal primitive species. We're facing students of the Archivists." On Earth, Colonel Martinez led a team of Special Forces soldiers equipped with experimental battle suits. They moved through the forest toward a crashed alien scout ship, their footsteps nearly silent despite the powered armor they wore. "Remember, we need their navigation data intact," Martinez told his team. "This is our chance to find their home world." The battle suits enhanced their strength and speed, giving them physical abilities matching the Drakarians. Each soldier carried weapons developed by Dr. Wright's team, technology that could penetrate alien armor. At her facility in Nevada, Dr. Wright studied the data from the ongoing battle. She turned to Captain Howard, who had just arrived from Washington. "There's something you need to see," she said, pulling up an old file on her computer. The screen showed black and white photos from 1947, a crashed disc-shaped object in New Mexico. "Roswell wasn't a weather balloon," she said simply. "It was our first contact with the Archivists. They came to warn us." Howard nodded. "I know. My grandfather was one of the first to speak with them. They didn't just warn us," Dr. Wright continued. "They gave us fundamental knowledge, principles of quantum mechanics, gravitational manipulation, energy conversion. Not the technology itself, but the science behind it. They knew we were creative enough to develop our own versions." In orbit, Major Bennett's Eagle Squadron continued to disable alien ships with precision strikes. Her neural interface showed her exactly where to hit each vessel. "This is Eagle Leader," she reported. "Targets 7 through 12 neutralized. moving to protect the eastern orbital platform. Admiral Zex Thar listened as more reports of failures came in. He turned to Krelvon. "If what you say is true, we've been manipulated," he said bitterly. "The archivists used Earth as a trap for our forces." Krelvon nodded. "They knew we would see Earth as an easy target. They'd been preparing the humans for decades, waiting for us to attack." Zexthar looked at the planet on his view screen, no longer appearing defenseless, but bristling with weapons and defenses that rivaled their own. "We've been deceived," he said, his voice low with anger. "But this isn't over." The space around Earth suddenly lit up with new energy signatures. 7 massive ships appeared from nowhere, their designs unlike either human or Dracarian vessels. They positioned themselves in a perfect circle around the planet, but made no aggressive moves. "Captain Howard, we have multiple new contacts in orbit," reported Lieutenant Nguyen, his voice tense. "They're not Dracarian." Howard stared at the screen showing the new arrivals. "Are they hostile?" "No weapons charging, sir. They appear to be waiting." In Arizona, Dr. Miller's instruments detected the new ships immediately. "These energy signatures are completely different," she told her team. "I've never seen anything like them." Her computer suddenly lit up with an incoming transmission. The signal was directed at the Human Defense Network, bypassing normal communication channels. "They're trying to contact us," she said in wonder. At the United Nations emergency session, screens suddenly activated on their own. The image showed a being unlike anything humans had seen before, tall and slender with iridescent skin and 4 arms. When it spoke, its words were somehow perfectly understandable to everyone. "People of Earth," the being said, "I am Ambassador Tal of the Galactic Concord. We have been observing your defense against the Dracarian invasion. You have proven yourselves worthy of contact." The room fell silent. Then the president stood. "Why didn't you help us?" he asked. "That was not our purpose," Tal replied. "The archivists identified your species as having potential. They provided you with knowledge, but it was your own ingenuity that turned that knowledge into effective defenses. We needed to see if you could stand on your own." Admiral Zex Thar saw the new ships appear on his view screen. "The Concord," he hissed. "This was a test all along." Krelvon nodded slowly. "The archivists find promising species. The Concord tests them against aggressors like us, and we played right into their plan." "Send a message to the invasion fleet," Zexthar ordered. "All ships are tow." Before he could finish, half his officers drew weapons and pointed them at him. "Admiral, you have led us into a trap," said Officer Grell. "The Empire sent us here based on false intelligence. We will not sacrifice more lives for your pride." On Earth, Lieutenant Joseph Garcia, a linguist working with NASA, was rushed to the United Nations building. He had studied patterns of potential alien communication for years, developing translation protocols based on mathematical principles. "I need to establish direct communication with them," he told the president. "Their translator is good, but we need to be sure we understand each other perfectly." Using a system he had designed, Garcia connected with Ambassador Tal's ship. "We accept your contact," he transmitted, "but we have questions about your intentions and the role of Earth in your galactic concord." Tal's response came immediately. "Earth sits at a crucial junction of hyperspace lanes, routes that allow faster-than-light travel between star systems. Your solar system is strategically valuable. The Dracarians sought to claim it. We sought to protect it, by helping you protect yourselves." In orbit, Major Bennett received new orders. "Eagle Squadron, hold your positions. Do not engage the new vessels." She guided her fighter into a holding pattern, watching as the Concord ships maintained their positions around Earth. "Who are they?" she asked over the secure channel. "Apparently," Captain Howard replied, "they're our audience. They were waiting to see if we could handle ourselves against the Dracarians." Colonel Martinez and his team successfully captured the crashed Dracarian scout ship. Inside, they found navigation data showing the full extent of the Dracarian Empire. and its vulnerability to the kind of defenses Earth had developed. They've been expanding unchecked for centuries, Martinez reported after examining the data. But they've never faced technology like ours before. Admiral Zexar found himself confined to his quarters while his officers negotiated a surrender with both Earth and the Concord representatives. Everything he believed about his mission, about the Empire's supremacy, had been proven wrong. On the main view screen of Earth's Defense Command, Ambassador Tail addressed the human leaders. You have passed the test that all species must face to join our alliance. The question now is, will you join us as equals in the Galactic Concord? 1 month after the Dracarian invasion attempt, the United Nations Hall in New York looked very different. Representatives from 7 alien civilizations sat alongside human delegates. The room buzzed with voices, human and alien, as they prepared to sign the treaty joining Earth to the Galactic Concord. Admiral Zexar stood in the center of the hall, his hands bound with energy restraints. His once proud uniform had been stripped of its medals and rank. Admiral Zexar announced the President of the United Nations Security Council, "You have been found guilty of unprovoked aggression against Earth. Do you have anything to say before we pronounce sentence?" Zexar looked around the room, his 4 eyes taking in the humans and aliens working together. "You were never defenseless," he said quietly. "I was blind not to see it." Intelligence Officer Krell Vaughn stepped forward. "As the ranking Dracarian officer following the mutiny, I wish to offer more than just surrender. The data from our ships shows that the Dracarian Empire is already facing rebellions on 12 worlds. Our resources are stretched thin. I propose an alliance against the Empire's leadership." The human and alien delegates murmured in surprise. Ambassador Tull nodded slowly. This would be unprecedented, but perhaps appropriate. Captain Frank Howard sat with Dr. Alice Miller in the viewing gallery. "Did you ever imagine it would end like this?" he asked her. She shook her head. "When I first saw those readings in my observatory, I thought it was the end of the world. Instead, it's the beginning of something much bigger." Below them, Dr. Susan Wright demonstrated a new device to a group of alien scientists. It was a smaller version of the gravitational disruptor, redesigned for peaceful uses. The aliens watched with obvious interest as she explained how it could be used for construction in space, not just as a weapon. "The humans have an unusual approach to technology," commented a blue-skinned alien scientist. "They find multiple applications we never considered." On the other side of the hall, Colonel Martinez discussed defense strategies with military leaders from the Concord. The holographic display showed Dracarian fleet movements across the galaxy. "Their tactics are predictable once you understand their cultural emphasis on direct confrontation," Martinez explained. "That's why our indirect approach was so effective." The main doors opened, and Major Olivia Bennett entered with her Eagle Squadron pilots. They wore new uniforms bearing both Earth's flag and the symbol of the Galactic Concord. The crowd applauded as they took their seats. "The first Joint Earth-Concord Defense Force," the President announced. "They will train pilots from all our worlds in the techniques that proved so effective against the Dracarian ships." Lieutenant Joseph Garcia worked nearby with translators from every species, finalizing a universal translation system. The key was finding mathematical constants that all spacefaring cultures recognize, he explained. "Once we had that foundation, the rest fell into place." At the central table, the President of Earth signed the treaty, officially making humanity the 8th member of the Galactic Concord. As he finished his signature, the alien representatives stood and bowed in their various cultural ways. "For thousands of years, the Concord has awaited a species with your particular qualities," Ambassador Tal said. "Your creativity, your adaptability, and most importantly, your ability to prepare for threats without becoming consumed by fear." From a distance, in a ship beyond the solar system, 3 archivist observers watched the proceedings through special sensors. They looked similar to the Concord species, but more ancient, with eyes that held centuries of wisdom. "The test is complete," said the eldest. The humans performed even better than we predicted. They turned knowledge into innovation faster than any species we've encountered, agreed another. Their defense systems already have applications we hadn't considered. And most importantly, added the third, they choose alliance over conquest, even in victory. The balance of the galaxy will shift with their addition to the Concord. The eldest archivist nodded in satisfaction. Our work here is done. Earth has found its place among the stars, not as a conquered world, but as a defender of peace. On Earth, as night fell over New York, humans and aliens looked up at the stars together. What once seemed like a vast, empty void now represented connection, alliance, and a future none of them could have imagined alone. Earth had never been defenseless. Its strength had simply been waiting for the right moment to shine.